Hello and welcome everyone. Today we're gonna build this awesome little bed bench for under $100, and all you're really gonna need in terms of material are a piece of plywood and a 2x4. Start off by cutting the wood. Just make sure that you cut all the pieces you're gonna need at the same time. It saves you a lot of cleaning up and makes your life a little easier. I'm gonna go through this part a little quicker just because you've probably seen it 100 times on other videos. I'm gonna use pocket holes to put the little box together where the top part is gonna be placed on. This is also fairly simple. The only thing I want to mention here is that I forgot to put pocket holes into the sides, which you're gonna see here in a little. It made it a little hard to put them after I already glued it together. So just make sure that you put some pocket holes on the side as well before you put it together. Okay, so we're just gonna use some regular pocket hole screws to put everything together. Once you put it together, just let it sit and let it dry for a little bit. You could have probably used less screws than I did here, but you know, I just wanted to make sure it's stable and it's not gonna fall apart once it's done. I wanted to show you guys this. I tried to drill a hole in the top to fix the legs to the top. Just don't do it. It's not gonna be stable enough. Here I'm cutting the sides of the legs. I figured I'm gonna give it a nice little edge to make it look nicer. It's totally not necessary, but here you see the finished product. I think it looks pretty nice, and once we get it stained, it's gonna look even better. So once you have your legs ready to be sanded down, start off with a higher grit, or actually lower grit. I started off with the 60 grit, which is pretty rough, and I used the 60 grit just to get some of the marks that my table saw left on the wood out. And after that I gave it a little buff with the 220 grit with the random orbital sander, which is gonna make it really smooth and nice looking. You're gonna see here in a little bit, there were some pretty bad scuffs from the table saw right there, but you're gonna get those out pretty easily with the 60 grit. And like I said, you just use a 220 grit or something even higher to make it real smooth and get it ready for the staining process. Okay, so once you're done sanding down your pieces, you're gonna apply the wood stain. I used the bare wood stain, which I thought looked really nice. I like the color a lot, and it's really easy to apply. I actually used a brush here to apply the stain before wiping it off, but you can definitely skip the brushing and just use a clean cloth that you dip in the stain and then wipe it on and wipe it off at the same time. Like you can see here, it's gonna end up looking really nice either way, but you save some time if you just use the clean cloth. And like I said, just wipe it on and it dries within 30 minutes, so you don't waste any time on doing an extra step really. So
I like it a lot.
tried out this polyurethane spray finish for this project just to try it out, and for convenience sakes I thought I'd give it a try. This is actually the third layer I'm applying here already. I'm just giving it a light sand before I spray on the last cover, the last layer of the polyurethane. And this is my first experience with a spray on finish, and you want to make sure that you really clean all the pieces before you spray it on, just because you don't want any dirt under the spray and under the finish. And I just want to mention, I do not recommend this spray. I would just get a classic finish that you brush on, and the reason for that is it's almost impossible to get your workshop completely clean, and you're always gonna have a little bit of dirt that you get on your wood when spraying it on. Okay, so next we're gonna cut the foam to fit the top of the little bed bench. Now here you see me marking it with a marker. You can definitely skip that step. You can't really see the marker on the foam anyways, and you can just take a box cutter and cut it along the wood right away. So save yourself the time of marking it. Just take the box cutter like I do here and cut along the line or the edge of the wood, and you're gonna get a real nice and clean edge of the foam. Now if it's a little if it's not totally straight like you see here, that's fine, because we're gonna put the padding over it and it's gonna be a good base to put the fabric on next. I'm just using the 3M spray adhesive to fix the foam to the plywood. I'm pretty sure it's about $3 to $4, so it's really inexpensive and it works great. Just put the foam on the wood, make sure the edges are tight, and that's it for this step. Now comes the fun part. This is my first upholstery project and I don't have a lot of experience doing upholstery, so for all of the upholstery experts out there, you're probably shedding a tear watching this. But basically I just cut way too much material. I should have cut it before I put it on. As you can see on the side here, there's a lot of leftover material, which doesn't really do anything to the looks on the outside. It's just really hard to get it tucked in on the inside, which you're gonna see here in a second. I was really struggling to tuck them in tight to make sure they're not going out of place after I'm done with this step. So the top actually looks pretty nice, but here on the sides, as you can see, it's a lot of excess material. I tried to do some damage control and cut it after I tucked it in, but still, you know, if you are gonna reproduce this project, I would definitely recommend cutting some of the batting before. Now on the top part where you're gonna be sitting on, I actually got a little smarter already. I cancelled out the audio on this part because there was a lot of arguing going on here with my better half. But again, you can definitely cut a little more on the sides. I was just scared that I would cut it too close and then will not be able to tuck it to the backside of the plywood, but you know, if you measure it, you're gonna be fine. Now next we have this really nice velvet fabric. Here I'm just covering, basically after I patted it down, I'm covering it with the fabric and make sure it's really tight. Again, I could have cut more material, all the excess material before, but again, since this is my first time trying it out, I wanted to make sure I don't run out of fabric and don't end up wasting a bunch of fabric. But you know, you can definitely do a better job than I did here. All I cared about though was that the outside looks nice, and I think we did a good job of that. Now on this piece, I think I cut it perfectly. Again, if you know how to do upholstery perfectly, or if you have experience, please let me know in the comments if you have any tips for me. But I definitely cut the excess material before, and in effect it looked a lot nicer and a lot cleaner on the outside this time. So this is what we got so far. In my opinion, it looks really nice. I'm really happy with how the padding and the fabric came out. It's really soft and I think it's gonna look great. Now in the meantime, all of our legs had plenty of time to dry. They're not sticky anymore, so we're finally ready to fix those legs to the bench, and this is somehow what I'm thinking of, and I'm gonna show you this, guys. I wanted to pre-drill the holes. My drill got stuck in the padding. I wanted to leave it in the video so you don't make the same mistake. just drill through the plywood and then you go ahead and drill the screws in. It saves you a lot of time trying to do damage control with pulling out that padding. So just go ahead, drill through the plywood and then put the screws in. It's gonna actually pull those wooden blanks and the wooden legs right to the bench. And then I'm just putting on some floor protection. They're sticky, so you just pretty much stick them to the bottom. Next we're gonna install the hinges, so you can open the top part of the bed bench. Now I originally didn't plan on installing these, but I didn't know how to fix the top to this lower part of the bench without going through the fabric. So I just decided to have a little storage area in the middle and installing these little hinges so you can open and close it, which actually turned out pretty nice, and it's a nice little storage area for blankets and whatever other stuff you want to put in there. Now you actually can't see it here, but I marked the same distance from both sides, so they're perfectly aligned. I should have zoomed in a little closer, but here I just wanted to show you that I put an extra screw for the legs to make them really sturdy, and that is it. That's all you need to do to build your own little bed bench. I think it turned out pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with the result. The wood looks really nice and the velvet fabric is definitely very comfy. And to sum it all up, I spent about $90, with the fabric being $60 of the total. The wood is really inexpensive and you can definitely make your own bench for under $100 if you like any other style. Just go to your local fabric store and they have tons of options. But again, I'm really happy with how it turned out. If you like the bench and if you want to see more projects like this, please let me know. If you like the content, please subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and let me know in the comments below what you guys think. And I see you in the next video.